Okay, so before we proceed, let's do a little recap from the previous day. We have created an Apex class, which is a Apex web service. So we've discussed the whole code yesterday. Now today we are going to focus on the creating of the IQR record through the HTTP post annotation there. So we have a method create IQR which receive label as the string, response type also type string, greeting text type string, account ID which is type ID. So basically this particular method, which is a post method, creates an IQR. Basically it's just define the account is the account ID from here, the label C or custom field is label from here, the greeting text is the greeting text which will be passed from our script, PHP script. The response type will be the response type there, and then insert the new IQR. So pretty simple and straightforward, right? We are going to create this. Now flip back to our PHP script here. So this is the interface is on our website iqr.to. So we are going to be able to create new IQR records from outside of Salesforce by filling up this form. And then it's going to create it onto here. So let's open up the code on the PHP side. We have discussed about getting the IQR record and displaying it yesterday on the previous video. Now we are going to create a form where we basically post whatever value is filled in on here and create a new record in Salesforce. Okay, let's go line by line from here. So the top part here we've discussed. Let's recap a bit. This is where we put our Salesforce credentials. Please refer to the previous day's video. And this is basically if we want to display a particular QR code, if we pass the IQR parameter from the URL, let's check it. For example, if I want to take a look at this one, if I click here, we have the record ID here, right? So I'm going to copy that. If I, instead of action new, I'm going to pass IQR equals that record ID. There. It's going to display it. Okay, so that's what it does. So the action is just to define if it's a new, we want to create a new action, a new record. So I'm just going to define here action equals new. So if action equals new, so basically we get that, right? Now if action equals new, I'm going to skip this a bit, we're going to get back. So if action equals new, basically just print this form. Okay, print this form, and then which is going to display this form here. All right, so once that filled in, we have the name of the input field, label, and then the response type, which is a select element, and then the greeting text for the greeting text. And this will be accepted, and it goes back to the same file, which is iqr.php. If you're familiar with web forms, well, this is pretty obvious, right? It goes back to here, and then we're going to parse those as these ones. Okay, label post, that's from the label input. response type post, response type, greeting text post, greeting text. So those three are from these three input forms. Okay, so we store the values of these three input forms into this variable: label post, response type post, and greeting post. Okay, that's pretty simple. Now, and then we get the access token, which we discussed from the previous video. Okay, we won't discuss this here again. So if the label post has a value, and the response type post has a value, and the greeting text post has a value, we are going to create the record in Salesforce. So basically, we are going to initiate the request to the Apex REST web service, which we have in our code over here. Okay, as you can see, the URL mapping on top here is IQR and star there. So anything after IQR will be parsed by this class. So if I go back to my code over here, so the instance I've told you before, you get this NA162 from your company information in Salesforce. Let me show you again. We're just gonna go slow here, okay? So you get the whole stuff. So how do you know it's NA162? You will have a different instance, right? So you go to company information over here, and then you go to see over here NA162 instance. So that's where I get the data for this. So we are going to connect our script to this instance. So what are we going to post? We are going to post what we want to create, which is a IQR record, right? So if you see, we are going to construct the JSON data. We have label, response type, greeting text, and account ID. These variables or parameters have to match exactly like the one we define in our code here. Label, okay? So this is a global method, and the name is create IQR. So we receive inputs: label, response type, greeting text, account ID. Right? Label, response type, greeting text, account ID. So we need to pass those four variables. So this is why this is label, response type, greeting text, account ID. Got it? So what are the values? Whatever is being inputted from the form over here. Oops, this guy. So whatever is typed here, okay? So that would be, going back here, my coda. So label post, which we'll get from the post parameter or variable from PHP, which the name is label, okay? Response type post, which the name is response type, greeting text, and this is coming from the input here, the name of it, okay? The input name label, this is name response type, and then the last one name greeting text. So this I want to put in the label post variable, response type post, and greeting text post, okay? So, and the account ID, I'm going to hard code my account ID because we will pass this information later. We don't have a functionality to create new accounts yet. Therefore, I'm just going to develop this using my test account, which is my Jimmy Tanzil account here, okay? And this account ID, I get it from there, the top part of this account ID. Meaning, all IQR records that will be created from this interface right now will always belong to Jimmy Tanzil's account ID there. Okay. So once you've done that, you want to encode the JSON here. Use JSON encode my object, which is from here, and then JSON data encoded, JSON encode new IQR. Oh, this is from my old. I don't think we need this one here because I am going, yeah, I don't need this one. I'm gonna delete that. So until that part, and then basically you initialize the CURL. Where do we connect? To the instance here, which is this instance, right? This instance, and then the services Apex REST IQR. Okay, this is defined again in our code over here. URL mapping. Okay, IQR. You got that? And then we are going to set the CURL options. You do the HTTP header. This is very important here. Authorization is bearer, and then pass the access token which you receive from the access token here. Get access token, and you get the access token. You pass the JSON, decode, and then get the access token. Pass it here. The content type application JSON. Pretty print, yes please, 1. Okay. Return transfer true. Timeout 10 seconds. Post is a post. SSL verify peer false. And then post fields. What do you post? The JSON. My object here from here. Okay. And then you make the request. The response, JSON decode, execute the URL request. Okay. So this request is initialize that, and then you set all the options, and then you execute the request, which is this guy here. You execute and you put the response here into the IQR variable. So you know the ID of the newly created IQR record. Okay. And that's basically it. So this is from the previous video to get the label. This part here, this is the one for the other Chrome. For this guy here, right? Label front door. So this code here is just to displaying that. Okay, if it's new, that else print this out. Print this label, which is this guy. Alright, so let's see how it works. So if the label is, what do you say, my car. I want it to be a, I don't know, contact form. Hey, got anything to say about my cool car? Right, like that. So as you can see, if I click the button there, create IQR, this will create a new IQR record. Right now I just have one, right? I'm going to click view all here. So just one. So if I submit this, my car, create IQR, boom. Okay, now we can create another one, but if I refresh, let me close this guy. If I refresh this, boom, my car contact form. Pretty cool, right? So another one, let's create another one. It's for my dog. My dog. If my dog, I want to call forward. Somebody just call my phone. If they scan it, it's just going to call my phone right away. Please wait while we connect you to the dog owner. Create IQR. Boom. And if I refresh this, oops, my mouse went dead. Okay. So we have my dog now, and call forward is the response type. That's it. So basically that's the pretty basic wireframe where you can add or create new Salesforce records using the Apex REST service. So next up, we are going to make another form to edit, to list all the available QR codes, and then we can edit and we can delete all from this web interface. Okay, so that's basically it. Next up, we are also going to put this whole form under a login restriction. So people have to be logged in first, and we can create a sign up button so anybody can sign up, which will create a new account in Salesforce. Right now, just one account, right? So I'm going to create a new sign up form, create the account, and then people can start creating their QR codes from here after they are logged in. So that would be coming up not exactly on the next video, but it will be coming up. So on the next video, we are going to make editing the QR codes like this. Editing the QR codes, deleting the QR codes from the web interface. I'll see you on the next video. Bada bing, bada boom. Hit that subscribe button and explore new trailhead grounds and learn to implement the most useful and popular apps on the Salesforce App Exchange. And do yourself a favor, like this video, and you'll be surprised on how much more you understand when watching this same video after liking it. Don't take my word. Watch this one more time after you like the video and see it for yourself. Bada bing, bada boom.